Ladies and gentlemen, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Nick Clegg.
The vast majority of people who go into our prison system come out again. And if we don't work with them to ensure that as they come out of prison, they find their feet again, they are reintegrated into their community again, they're reintegrated into the world of study, training, education and work again. If we don't do that, the whole cycle repeats itself all over again. I still find it astonishing that some people are surprised that we have such high rates of reoffending. Of course we have high rates of reoffending if we don't try to change the behaviour of those people who've done wrong and spend some time in prison. And that is especially true of the youngsters, the young offenders, who lose their way, commit a crime, do something sometimes very bad. If we just ignore their plight, if we just somehow think that they'll look after themselves when they wander out of the prison gates, don't be surprised that that young offender of today becomes the hardened criminal of tomorrow. And that is not only bad for them, it is appalling for society, because it means we become accomplices in repeat crime. The greatest failing of our criminal justice system are the sky-high rates of reoffending which we've seen persist in this country for a very, very long time. A system which has almost deliberately, it seems, turned young offenders into hardened criminals and simply created a revolving door as people go in for short-term prison sentences, come straight out again, commit a worse crime, go back in again for a longer prison sentence, come out, and so the dismal merry-go-round goes around. And that is why I was so keen to be with you, even if briefly, this evening, because the organisations here, BCBN, the National Zakat Foundation, St Mungo's, together they are asking the hard questions. They are confronting the gnarled, complex, difficult dilemmas that individuals and communities and their families face. And they're saying to youngsters through the project which you're being invited to support today, we're not just going to expect that someone is going to be able to fend for themselves the moment they come out of prison. We're going to give them a place to stay. They're going to be able to work with others who know what it's like to have been in prison themselves. They're going to get help to get back on the straight and narrow, to find a place to live, to find a route back into work, to find a route back into education and training. And it's something that I have campaigned on all my adult political life, to change these outdated attitudes in the criminal justice system. It's something my party has long campaigned for as a party, the Liberal Democrats, of reform of the criminal justice system. And thankfully, it's something we're bringing to bear within government today. Well, I think the clue's in the name. Better, community, business, network. It's all about making sure that those people who want to use their experience in the business community to act as an engine for improvement in the community do so. And I think it's a marvellous example of people, through their better instincts, drawing on their skills in commercial life to improve their own community, to improve the world in which they live. And I think, for that reason, someone is always a great supporter of good grassroots projects. I really do think the BCBN is a model for other people to follow. I think a problem of reoffending, high rates of reoffending, which has been around for many, many years, is the Achilles heel in our criminal justice system. Because instead of cutting crime by cutting reoffending, we've actually got a system which creates a revolving door of crime. People go into prison, come out, commit more crime, go back into prison, come out again and commit more crime. And we need to stop that revolving door of crime. We need to stop young offenders of today becoming the hardened criminals of tomorrow. And that's why I think the work of the BCBN and its partners are so important, but also why we in government have been changing things dramatically, so that, for instance, if you now come out of prison and we're the first government to introduce this, you will be met by someone literally at the prison gates, regardless of how long or short your prison sentence is, to help you stay on the straight and narrow so that you don't start recommitting crime within the first few weeks of release, which has been the pattern for far too long. I think the Date Palm Project, it really epitomises the kind of reforms I want to see in the criminal justice system, because this is taking young offenders who've obviously often done bad things, but leave prison disorientated, maybe alienated from their community, maybe ostracised by their family, who you want to stop them sort of just falling into the hands of their circle of associates who might have got them into trouble in the first place. And you want to point them in a different direction. But for that you need a bit of time. And that's what this residential period of time will allow. It will allow them to find new routes into education, into training, and into work. And it very much reflects what we're doing as a government. So we're doubling the amount of education provided to young offenders in young offender institutes, and we're starting to build a new generation of secure colleges where the emphasis is on education, not just incarceration. Well, I think Muslim communities up and down the country should be very, very proud of their outstanding record in seeking to help others, in seeking to respond generously to humanitarian crises, and as we've seen with the project led by BCBN, also helping members of the British Muslim communities themselves, where they've basically taken a wrong turn, and to help them come back into mainstream society, reintegrated back into the Muslim communities of this country. I think it is a wonderful expression of heartfelt altruism.